Imagine for a moment a city right in the heart of the desert, a bustling hub of trade and ancient traditions. This city is Mecca, in what we now call Saudi Arabia. It is here, around the year 570, that our story really begins. This particular year was quite special. It was known as the Year of the Elephant. Why, you might ask? Well, because an army, led by a war elephant, actually tried to attack Mecca with the goal of destroying its sacred Kaaba, but, quite miraculously, they failed. It was in this very year that a child named Mohamed was born into the noble tribe of Quraysh. His family, the Banu Hashim clan, was highly respected and had the important responsibility of looking after the Kaaba and the many pilgrims who came to visit it. Mohammed's father, Abdullah, was a merchant. Sadly, he passed away just a few months before his son was even born, while he was away on a trading journey. So, Mohammed came into the world as an orphan on his father's side. His mother was Amina, a kind and gentle woman. Following a tradition among the noble families of Mecca, Amina decided to send her newborn son to be raised in the desert. The idea was that the desert air was healthier, and the language spoken there was purer. People believed this would help the child grow up strong and eloquent. It was a common practice for the elite at that time, meant to give their children the best possible start in life. A woman named Halima Sadia from the Banu Sa'd tribe was chosen to be his wet nurse. Mohammed spent his first few years with her family, enjoying the healthy, open air of the desert. He grew up alongside her own children, learning the ways of the Bedouins, who were well known for their resilience, generosity, and their mastery of the Arabic language. This period was absolutely crucial for his development. However, tragedy struck again when Mohammed was only 6 years old. His mother, Amina, took him on a journey to visit her family's graves in Medina, but she became ill on the way back and sadly passed away. Now, young Mohammed was an orphan of both parents. After this profound loss, the young boy was placed under the care of his paternal grandfather, Abd al-Muttalib. He was the chief of the Banu Hashim clan and a very influential figure in Mecca. He loved his grandson dearly and treated him with special affection, often allowing young Mohammed to sit beside him on his cushion near the Kaaba, which was a place of great honor. But unfortunately, this loving care was also short-lived. Just 2 years later, when Mohammed was 8, his grandfather also passed away. The responsibility for the young orphan then fell to his uncle, Abu Talib, who became the new leader of the clan. Abu Talib loved his nephew just like his own children and would go on to protect him for many years to come. Growing up in the household of his uncle Abu Talib, Mohammed learned the value of hard work and responsibility from a very young age. Abu Talib was not a wealthy man, so everyone in the family had to do their part. To help his uncle, young Mohammed started working as a shepherd, tending to the family's flocks of sheep and goats out on the hills that surrounded Mecca. This job, though it might seem humble, really taught him some important lessons. He learned patience, watching over the animals for hours and hours. He learned to be watchful, keeping the flock safe from predators. And he learned gentleness and compassion, caring for each animal individually. This time spent in nature, under the vast desert sky, also gave him plenty of time for quiet reflection, far from the hustle and bustle of city life. Even as a young man, Mohammed was known throughout Mecca for his truly exceptional character. People noticed that he was just different. He was incredibly honest in all of his dealings, never known to lie or cheat. He was fair, kind, and always kept his promises. These qualities earned him 2 special nicknames from the people of Mecca: Al-Sadiq, which means the truthful, and Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. People trusted him so much that they would often leave their valuable possessions with him for safekeeping when they traveled, confident that their belongings would be perfectly safe. He was a beacon of integrity in a society where such qualities were, honestly, not always common. Unlike many young men of his time, Mohammed was deeply troubled by the social and religious practices he saw all around him. Meccan society was largely polytheistic, with people worshipping many different idols. These statues, representing various gods and goddesses, were kept in and around the Kaaba. Mohammed felt in his heart that this was wrong and instinctively avoided any form of idol worship. He also really disliked the social injustices he witnessed: the mistreatment of the poor, the exploitation of the weak, and the constant feuds between different tribes. He was known to help those in need whenever he could, sharing what little he had and standing up for fairness. His uncle, Abu Talib, was a merchant who led trade caravans to distant lands like Syria. When Muhammad was about 12 years old, he begged his uncle to take him along on one of these journeys. Abu Talib agreed, and this trip opened Muhammad's eyes to the wider world. It was during this journey that a Christian monk named Bahira, living in a monastery in Syria, is said to have noticed the young boy. The story goes that Bahira recognized signs of a future prophet in Muhammad and advised Abu Talib to protect him carefully. This experience was not just an adventure, it was a formative part of his education, teaching him about different cultures, religions, and the realities of the world beyond Mecca. As Muhammad grew into adulthood, his reputation as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, became his greatest asset. He moved from being a shepherd to engaging in trade, which was really the lifeblood of Mecca's economy. He worked for others, managing their business affairs with such honesty and skill that he became highly sought after. He conducted business with a sense of fairness that was truly remarkable. He never haggled unfairly, misrepresented goods, or broke a contract. His integrity was his trademark, and it made him successful and respected in the competitive world of Meccan commerce. People knew that any business venture handled by Muhammad would be managed with the utmost care and honesty, ensuring a fair outcome for everyone involved. At that time, there was a very wealthy and respected businesswoman in Mecca named Khadija. She was a widow who had inherited her husband's successful business and managed it herself, which was actually a rare position for a woman in that era. Known for her noble character and wisdom, she was called Al-Tahira, meaning the Pure One. Hearing of Muhammad's impeccable reputation for honesty and business acumen, Khadija decided to hire him. She entrusted him with a caravan of her goods to trade in Syria, which was a major responsibility. She sent one of her own trusted servants, Maysara, to accompany him and observe how he conducted business. The trading trip to Syria turned out to be a great success. Muhammad managed the caravan brilliantly, returning with a much higher profit than Khadija had ever made before. But it wasn't just the profit that impressed her. Her servant, Maysara, returned with glowing reports about Muhammad's character. He spoke of his kindness, his patience, his honesty with customers, and his considerate treatment of everyone on the journey. Maysara recounted how Muhammad had handled every transaction with perfect integrity, and how his gentle demeanor had won the respect of all he met. Khadija, who was already a woman of great insight, was deeply moved by these accounts. Impressed by his character far more than his financial success, Khadija, who was about 40 years old at the time, developed a deep admiration for the 25-year-old Muhammad. Through a trusted friend, she proposed marriage to him. Muhammad, who held Khadija in high esteem for her piety and noble status, accepted the proposal. Their marriage was a very happy and loving one. It was a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and affection. Khadija was not just his wife, she became his greatest supporter and confidant. They had several children together, and their union provided Muhammad with emotional and financial stability, freeing him to contemplate the deeper questions of life that had always occupied his mind. La Mecque dans laquelle vivait Mohamed était, un centre commercial dynamique, mais c'était aussi un endroit qui souffrait de profonds problèmes spirituels et sociaux. La Kaaba, qui avait été à l'origine construite par le prophète Abraham et son fils Ismaël comme une maison de culte pour le Dieu unique, était maintenant remplie d'idoles. On disait qu'il y avait 360 idoles différentes à l'intérieur et autour de la Kaaba, chacune représentant une divinité différente pour chaque tribu ou chaque besoin. Des gens venaient de partout dans l'Arabie pour adorer ces statues, accomplissant des rituels et offrant des sacrifices. Cette pratique, connue sous le nom d'idolâtrie ou de polythéisme, était vraiment la caractéristique principale de la vie religieuse, et cela troublait profondément Mohamed, qui ressentait naturellement une inclination vers le monothéisme, la croyance en un Dieu unique et invisible. Au-delà de cette corruption religieuse, la société mécoise était minée par de graves injustices sociales. Un puissant système tribal gouvernait la vie, ce qui menait souvent à de l'arrogance, des cycles sans fin de vengeance et des querelles sanglantes pour des questions d'honneur ou de ressources. Il existait un énorme fossé entre les riches et les pauvres. Les marchands fortunés et les chefs de tribus exploitèrent souvent les plus démunis, imposant des taux d'intérêt élevés sur les prêts et se souciant peu du sort des orphelins, des veuves et des pauvres. Les droits des plus faibles étaient fréquemment ignorés, et des pratiques, comme l'enterrement des filles au nouveau-né, même si elles n'étaient pas généralisées, existaient tout de même. Mohamed, avec sa nature compatissante, trouvait ces injustices insupportables à voir. En vieillissant, son malaise face à l'état de sa société ne faisait que grandir. Il commença à chercher la solitude pour réfléchir, loin de la décadence morale de la ville. Il trouva un endroit particulier pour ses retraites, une petite grotte sur une montagne appelée Jabal al-Nour, ou la montagne de la lumière. La grotte elle-même s'appelle Hira. C'était un endroit calme, paisible, à environ 3 km de la Mecque, offrant une vue panoramique sur le désert. Il emportait avec lui de l'eau et des dattes séchées, et passait plusieurs jours, parfois des semaines, dans la grotte, à méditer, prier et contempler l'univers et son créateur. Il cherchait des réponses aux questions profondes qui pesèrent sur son cœur. Ces retraites spirituelles devinrent une pratique régulière pour Mohamed, surtout pendant le mois de Ramadan. Dans le silence de la grotte, il réfléchissait au sens de la vie, à la nature de Dieu et aux problèmes de son peuple. Il n'était pas philosophe au sens académique, mais un chercheur sincère de vérité. Il aspirait à une guidance divine qui pourrait réformer sa société et ramener les gens vers un chemin de droiture, de justice et de véritable adoration. Voilà. Cette période de quête spirituelle intense fut le prélude à l'événement le plus marquant de sa vie. C'est ici, dans la solitude de Hira, qu'il se préparait, sans le savoir, à la lourde responsabilité qui allait bientôt reposer sur ses épaules. C'est au cours de l'une de ses retraites, dans la grotte de Hira, en l'an 610, que le moment décisif de la vie de Mohamed eut lieu. Il avait alors 40 ans. Une nuit, pendant les 10 dernières nuits du Ramadan, une nuit qui allait plus tard être appelée Laylat al-Qadr, ou la nuit du destin. Il était plongé dans la méditation lorsqu'il fut soudainement visité par une présence puissante. Un ange apparut devant lui, se présentant comme Jibril, c'est-à-dire Gabriel. L'apparition de l'ange était bouleversante, et Mohamed fut saisi d'un profond sentiment de crainte et d'effroi. L'ange le saisit et lui ordonna d'une voix puissante « Ikra ». Ce mot arabe signifie « lis » ou « récite ». Mohamed, qui était illettré et ne savait ni lire ni écrire, fut surpris et déconcerté par cet ordre. Il répondit « Je ne sais pas lire ». L'ange répéta l'ordre « Ikra », le serrant si fort qu'il crut ne pas pouvoir le supporter. De nouveau, Mohamed répondit la même chose. Pour la 3e fois, l'ange lui commanda « Ikra ». Puis il récita les premiers versets qui allaient devenir une partie du Saint-Coran. « Lis, au nom de ton Seigneur qui a créé l'homme d'une adhérence. Lis, et ton Seigneur est le très généreux, qui a enseigné par la plume, qui a enseigné à l'homme ce qu'il ne savait pas. » Ces paroles furent la toute première révélation venant de Dieu. Après le départ de l'ange, Mohamed resta bouleversé et terrifié par cette expérience. Son cœur battait à tout rompre, il tremblait de tout son corps. Il sortit précipitamment de la grotte et descendit la montagne en courant, craignant d'avoir perdu la raison ou d'avoir été possédé. Il se précipita directement chez son épouse, Khadija. Il entra en s'exclamant « Couvrez-moi, couvrez-moi » Khadija, voyant son état de panique totale, le réconforta immédiatement. Elle l'enveloppa dans un manteau et le serra contre elle jusqu'à ce que sa peur commence à s'apaiser. Elle l'écouta patiemment alors qu'il lui racontait l'expérience incroyable et terrifiante qu'il venait de vivre dans la grotte. Elle ne douta pas de lui un seul instant. Le soutien de Khadija fut immédiat et sans faille. Elle le rassura en disant « Par Dieu, Dieu ne t'humiliera jamais. Tu entretiens les liens de parenté, tu portes les fardeaux des faibles, tu donnes à ceux qui sont dans le besoin, tu accueilles les invités et tu aides face aux épreuves de la vérité. » Pour mieux comprendre ce qui venait de se passer, elle l'emmena voir son cousin, Waraka ibn Nawfal. Waraka était un vieil homme sage, chrétien, qui connaissait les écritures anciennes. Après avoir écouté le récit de Mohamed, Waraka reconnut l'importance de l'événement. Il confirma que le visiteur était bien le même ange, Gabriel, qui avait apporté des révélations à Moïse et aux prophètes avant lui. Il annonça à Mohamed qu'il avait été choisi pour être le prophète de son peuple. Cette confirmation aida Mohamed à commencer à comprendre la réalité de sa nouvelle mission.